So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our little performance for you this evening. My name is Mark, and I'm here with my colleague Vicky. We're from the UK. Now, some of you will remember us from last year when we worked with the last year's year ones on discovering Shakespeare, and some of you we will be new. Now, the workshops that we do are all about trying to take things like Shakespeare and the Canterbury Tales and make them come alive. Make them come alive through performance, so that the students get a kind of a link. They develop a relationship with the works of Shakespeare, with the works of Chaucer. So we've got a couple of performances for you tonight. First of all, the year ones are going to do 4 short sketches about different aspects of Shakespeare's life and works. And then the year twos are going to show us 3 of the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer. So they've worked really hard today. We've had a couple of hours with each group. We've given them a lot to remember, a lot of moves. Hopefully they remember everything and they bring it to the stage with energy and enthusiasm and humour. So if I can ask those of you in Shakespeare's Life, if you can come up and get yourselves ready on the stage. Let's welcome our first set of students. Our first presentation for you is called Shakespeare's Life. All the world's a stage, and all the men, and the women, are merely players. They have their exits, and their entrances, and one person in their time plays many different parts.
Baby, child, teenager, adult, life is boring. Midlife crisis, old man. I'm a dead man.
Yeah. Shakespeare was born in 1564 in the town of Stratford-upon-Avon.
Beautiful baby. I think it's good.
No. At the age of 18, he got married to Anne Hathaway.
Do you take Anne Hathaway as your wife? Do I have to? Yes. Okay. And do you take Shakespeare as your husband? If you insist, then you are married now. Yes.
No, we don't have time for that. Throw the bouquet.
I'm next.
In 1585, he had to get out of Stratford because he was caught illegally hunting one of the king's deer.
You killed Bobby, leave the town.
The next 7 years are known as the lost years because nobody knows what happened to Shakespeare or where he was.
Where's Shakespeare? Oh wait, he's here.
In 1592, he appeared in London performing for a group of actors called the Lord Chamberlain's Men.
We are the Lord Chamberlain's Men. We have to play. What is it? Romeo and Juliet. But they killed themselves. Hey!
They performed for important people such as Queen Elizabeth I. Here is the first ever performance of Hamlet.
To be or not to be, that's the question.
When she died, she was replaced by King James I. Here is the 1000th performance of Hamlet.
To be or not to be, that's still the question. Good boy.
Shakespeare died on the 23rd of April, 1616.
Yay, I'm next!
Shakespeare wrote 38 plays and 154 sonnets. His plays have been adapted into movies,
Action.
musicals like West Side Story,
I like to be in America.
very famous operas, and of course, ballets. No, we don't have time for that. Get back in line. Shakespeare's understanding of every type of human emotion, many different types of love, hate,
I hate you all, especially you.
revenge,
You killed my cats, now I'm going to kill you.
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you both.
and ambition,
I want to be king.
No, I want to be king. No, I want to be king. No, I'm king. I am the king.
and bravery.
Save me.
The king commands his best soldier to save him. He goes into battle and vanquishes the enemy.
Oh!
He has done a good job. It means that Shakespeare's plays are as relevant now as they were 400 years ago. The playwright Ben Jonson said of Shakespeare, he was not of an age, but for all time.
He was not of the age but for all time.
Shakespeare's Life, everyone. Well,
for you on Shakespeare's Tragedy plays. A tragedy is a play in which the outcome is a sad one. Sad one. The central character,
I'm the central character.
as well as several others,
We are several others.
usually die.
Do I need to die too?
Yeah, you die as well. Come on, die. In Shakespeare's time, the crowd loved a gory death. Murder.
Murder! Murder!
Some of the characters are drowned, stabbed, poisoned, blinded, bitten by snakes,
I like snakes.
Yes, you do.
and in one play, chopped up and served in a pie.
Hello, we are. What's for dinner?
Bye.
What's in the pie?
You.
Back into life. Some of Shakespeare's greatest works are his tragedies, and they include plays like Hamlet,
To be or not to be?
Romeo and Juliet,
Romeo, Romeo, where are you? I'm here.
Othello,
I'm Othello and I love my wife. And I love my husband.
I hate everybody. You are quite shitty.
Who?
With him.
I'm gonna
Shakespeare's tragedies feature supernatural figures, very often as bringers of bad news. They include witches, ghosts,
Bad news. Bad news.
soothsayers,
We can see the future.
What is it?
What is it?
Bad news. Bad news.
Shakespeare's tragedies also deal with the struggles within the main character between right and wrong.
I don't know what to choose.
Do the right thing.
The right thing. The right thing. The wrong thing. The wrong thing. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. Do the wrong thing. Do the wrong thing.
I think I choose the right thing.
We have free Wi-Fi.
Okay, I go here.
Even though they end with death and sadness, many of Shakespeare's tragedies do end with a sense of hope. For example, at the end of Romeo and Juliet, the deaths of the two young lovers bring peace to their warring families.
Oh no, she's dead.
Would you like a drink?
Oh yeah, sure. Romeo, you're stupid. I was just sleeping.
comes to the warring families, because in the end, there is always hope. The tragedies, ladies and gentlemen! So, ladies and gentlemen, please, could you welcome to the stage the comedy? Stop. What are you doing?
It's just comedy, we're dancing.
No, but we need to do the presentation first. Into line. So Shakespeare's comedies start with problems in love. And relationships, like boyfriend and girlfriend. Woo-woo.
Stop it.
Brother and sister.
You're annoying.
No, you are so annoying.
No, you're more.
No, you are.
Guys, please stop it. Back into line. Husband and wife. Da-da-da-da. Through the bouquet.
I'm next. Oh no.
And single guys.
Hey.
The comedies are very often resolved in a funny and happy way. They deal with the separation of loved ones, usually in a shipwreck.
Oh Lord. Oh no, a storm is coming. The ship is breaking.
But loved ones are usually reconciled at the end. Back into line. Larger-than-life characters appear in the comedies, and very often they are drunk. They include Sir Toby Belch and Sir Andrew Akercheek.
Yo, check this one. No, this one. No, this is the one. Listen. No, this one.
Oh, that's disgusting. Back into line. Comedies also deal with misunderstandings in love. In A Midsummer Night's Dream, Lysander. And Demetrius. Are both in love with Hermia. Helena is in love with Demetrius.
Go away. No one wants you.
Who do you love, boys? But first, you'll have to catch her. But a love potion is added into the mix.
I'm a potion, not bad.
And this causes both men to love Helena! Back into line. Shakespeare's comedies also feature things not being as they appear, such as women disguising themselves as men. In As You Like It, Rosalind becomes Ganymede.
I'm a girl. Now I'm a boy.
In 12 Nights, Viola becomes Cesario.
I'm a girl. Now I'm a boy.
And in The Merchant of Venice, Portia becomes Balthazar.
I'm a girl. And now I'm a boy.
However, this is made more complicated by the fact that the women weren't allowed on the stage, so the men had to play the women's parts.
I am a boy. Just girl.
They also feature identical twins.
We are exactly the same.
The Fool or Jester is a character who appears in these plays and provides not only a comic presence, but also witty insight to the confused goings-on.
I don't think you're a boy. You're a girl. Same experience. You're a girl. And you are also a girl. I don't know whatever you are, but right, I think. But you two are exactly the same. We are exactly the same. Yay!
And now you can dance. The comedy, ladies and gentlemen!
So, we now come to the final Year 1 presentation, which is on Shakespeare's History plays. As Shakespeare often performed for royalty, his plays about the ancestors of Elizabeth I were particularly popular.
Shakespeare. Write me some space. Leave your food, or I will cut off your head.
So Shakespeare got to work working on these plays, and he wrote plays about the following kings of England. The first king was called
Richard II.
Now, Richard II was a weak king, easily influenced by flatterers.
We love you. We love you. We hate you. We hate you. We love you. We love you. We hate you. We hate you. Long live the king. We're gonna kill you.
Richard II was succeeded by
Henry IV.
Henry IV took control of England from Richard II. He took his crown and he defeated several rebellions.
We are rebellious.
Henry IV was succeeded by his son, called
Henry V. Hello, Dad. Hello, my son. Here, take my.
Henry V was a brave king who defeated the French at Agincourt. Henry V was succeeded by his son. Henry VI became king when he was just a baby. But Henry VI was taken over as king by Richard III was an evil king who did anything it did to take the crown. Ordinary characters also appear in the histories to show the effects of the king on their subjects. Characters such as Falstaff is a greedy, cowardly, drunken, womanizer, and he pretends to be dead during a battle and claims the glory for killing enemy soldiers.
I killed them all. I'm a hero.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Now, all of these plays meant that they were very popular with Queen Elizabeth I. Great, so now we come to the second of our presentations for you. Now this is to do with the Canterbury Tales. Now I don't know if any of you know about the Canterbury Tales. It's one of the most famous and important pieces of English literature ever written. It was written in around about the year 1390, a long time ago, and it was the first major book that was actually written in the English language. Up until that time, most books in England were written in either Latin or French. But Geoffrey Chaucer wrote this story in Middle English, like an earlier version of English. And it deals with a group of pilgrims who go on a journey to Canterbury, and on their way on the journey, each one of the pilgrims tells a different story. Now each of these stories is very different. There are 24 stories in total. Don't worry, we're not going to do all 24. We've got 3 for you tonight. We've got one that's quite a romantic tale of heroism. We've got one that's quite a cautionary tale, and then we've got one that's a little bit rude and about infidelity, and we'll get to that one at the end. So what's going to happen is, we've got our 3 pilgrims here. We've got one here called the Knight, we've got a merchant that's going to tell you a story, and we've got a pardoner here that's going to tell a story as well, and they'll be telling the stories up at the lectern there. So, Knight, if you'd like to go up and get ready to tell the story. We present for you, by Geoffrey Chaucer, The Knight's Tale. Thank you very
much. Many years ago in ancient Greece, the hero Theseus returned to the city with his new wife, Hippolyta, and her beautiful sister Emily. They came across a crying woman.
What's the matter? This evil king will let us bury our dead. Of goodness.
In revenge, Theseus waged war on King Creon and killed him. On the battlefield, he found 2 wounded knights of thieves, Palamon and Arcite.
Throw them in prison.
Palamon and Arcite looked from their prison cell and saw the beautiful Emily in the garden. They both fell in love. Years later, a friend of Arcite arrived at the court and secured his release from jail on condition that he had to return to Thebes forever.
I don't want to leave.
The 2 men were unhappy. Palamon because he could see his love but was in prison. Arcite because he was free but could not see Emily. Arcite decided to return to Athens in disguise. At the same time, Palamon escaped from prison. They met in the forest on the edge of Athens and fought each other.
You.
You both must die. No, you must come back within a year's time with an army and fight a duel, and the winner will marry Emily.
Palamon and Arcite assembled their armies.
Armies assemble.
On the night before the battle, Arcite, Palamon, and Emily prayed to the gods. Arcite prayed to Mars, the god of war.
Please let me win the battle. You shall win this battle.
Palamon prayed to Venus, the goddess of love.
Please let me marry Emily. You shall marry Emily.
And Emily prayed to Diana, the goddess of chastity.
Please let me marry the man with most
The battle began. Palamon was wounded, so our side had won the duel. We went to claim Emily, but
You need to die. Eat this.
with his dying breath, our side told Emily that Palamon should be her husband, as he knew of no man better for her.
Please marry Palamon.
And so we see that the Knights of Honor goes beyond love, and that prayers to the gods are always answered prayers, even if the results are unexpected.
The Knight's Tale, everyone. Give it up for the Knight's Tale. We have the Pardoner's Tale. Does everyone have what they need for the pardon?
A long time ago, during the Great Plague, there were 3 young men. They liked to eat, drink, and swear. One day, whilst at the Lokker inn, the men see a coughing peasant die.
Hey, who are you?
This man was stabbed in the back by death.
I hate that.
Yeah, let's get it.
So the young men decided they are going to find Death and kill him. On their journey, they find an old man.
Do you know where that is?
I don't like that. He won't let me die. He wants me to exchange my old age for you. Will you help me? No. I do know where that is though. I just free that.
The 3 men went to the field, and under the tree they found 3 bags of gold.
It's gold. Gold.
Gold!
The man waited for nightfall before moving the gold and draws straws to see who will go and get food and wine from the town.
Yes. Yes.
Yes!
The youngest man loses and goes to town. He decides to poison the wine and get all the gold from his side. However, his 2 friends also form a plan. On his return, they will kill the youngest man and keep the gold for themselves. The young man returns and, true to their plan, they kill him. After killing the man, they celebrate by drinking the wine.
Why?
And so, all 3 men indeed find death, and we see that money is the root of all evil.
The Pardoner's Tale, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Merchant's Tale.
Once there was an old knight called January. He was 60 years old and decided to retire.
I'm too old for this.
He was a happy man because he was not married. His life has been a series of adventures, battles, and parties. But he told his friends that he wanted to settle down.
I'm going to find myself a wife. Go. I want a woman who does what I say, is beautiful and young. Oh yeah.
16 maybe?
So January found a young woman called May. They got married.
You're making a big mistake.
I'm the happiest man in the world.
January and May went home. That night, May was kept awake by his snoring. Her face was startled by his prickly beard, and she was disgusted by his long yellow toenails. The next morning, they had breakfast, and January's servant, a young man called Damien, fell in love with May.
Here's your breakfast, sir. And here's something for you.
May read the love letter and wrote one back to Damien, saying,
Damien, I know that you are both young and poor and that I'm married, but I don't care, I love you.
January had built a secret walled garden for May. Every day he would unlock it, and they would walk in the garden. But one day, because of his old age and the life he had lived, January was struck blind.
I'm blind, I'm blind! May, help me! I'll look after you.
May arranged to meet Damien in the garden the next day. He crept in and hid up a pear tree.
I see a tasty pear. Can you help me into the tree? Of course,
But also walking in the garden was the god Pluto and his wife Proserpina.
Look at that, it's disgusting. Typical woman. What do you mean, typical woman? She's cheating on her man. Women are low down liars. No, they're not. Most of them are kind and faithful. I'm going to give this side by so he can catch her back. And I'm going to make her the best liar in the world.
The gods cast their spells.
I can see again, it's a miracle! Wait, what the hell? You ungrateful man, I gave you your sight back. What? The doctor said I should go into the tree so your sight would go back. But you two were kissing. No, you were just singing things. And you will see some things in the movies.
And that is how women gained the power to win arguments over men.
Well done. So for you two, just take a stand up in front of your seats. We're going to take a bow on three. So just stand up where you are. And on the three, we're going to take a bow. So 1, 2, 3, and bow. Great, so there you have our presentations, ladies and gentlemen. A bit of Shakespeare for you, a bit of Canterbury Tales. We're going to be working with Year 3 tomorrow, doing a version of Romeo and Juliet, which will be on this stage as well. And it's all to do with this idea of taking something out of a book, taking it off the page, and bringing it to the stage and making it come alive. The students have all worked really hard today. We've given them loads to remember, moves, lines, everything, and they've done fantastically well. A couple of thank yous before we end tonight. First of all, thank you to everyone here at Farrell College for allowing us to come back again. Thanks to my colleague Vicky for directing the students as well. And a nice big clap for both sets of students, Year 1 and Year 2.